Brooklyn, Mashmone Penny. And we are live. How are you? This is Gray from Wakizashi's Teahouse over in Japan. I hope you're good, I hope you're genki. We have Salty Travelin C back by popular demand. How you doing, Salty?
I'm alright. We talked about this movie a lot before we went live, and like I said, I was just gonna watch little snippets of it, and then I just watched the whole damn movie, because you don't walk away from this movie, you watch this movie. Yep.
It is so good, but we all know that already, don't we? We also have 007 Nerdporeal, all the way from the License to Nerd. I'm not sure, is it Chicago? Chicago, maybe.
No, London.
From London.
Yeah.
Ah, not Jamaica, mon. Okay.
But yeah, I do like Doctor No. Like I don't even have to watch the whole movie. I've seen this movie millions of times. This movie is just watching the first 20 minutes. I have this smile on my face. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm glowing right now.
He does.
And I can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome, me too. Oh my god, we got Nosferatu doing the blah in the chat again. What is going on there? Great to see you.
That's never gonna get old. That'll never get old.
It's already old with me, Salt. We've had enough of it.
That was
Blair.
That was ironic.
Blair de Blair, welcome back. The second, it's 2 weeks now we've been doing James Bond movies. So good to have you, man.
Yes, this is great. I haven't seen this in so long, so I rewatched it and remembered how much fun these things could be.
Oh,
you know.
God.
Especially with this one. This is like the first one where all the tropes start coming. You know, the martini shaken, not stirred, and you know
Baccarat,
he gets
the Baccarat game.
Yes,
yeah.
And he gives up his Beretta for the PK Walther.
Good.
The Walther PPK.
Walter PPK.
You are licensed to kill, not get killed.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys rewatched it, apart from Steve, Prophet the Dragon, who I'm very happy to have back on the channel. It's been a long time, Steve. How are you? Since you ruined Picard and the Peripheral for me, since then, you know, we've not been talking.
Like that's what I do. I jump in, we like hang out for like a month, and then like I ruin everything for you, and then I disappear and I go in the dark. So, like I'm back. So we got to find a show for me to ruin for you.
It's all true.
Everything's true. No, it's great to have you, man. You've been doing lots of game streaming, or is it gay streaming or game streaming recently?
only when Nos is around. When so that's it. Yeah, that's it.
He's already asking for a Final Fantasy stream in the chat. I can't believe it. Nosferatu, what are you on about?
Hey.
Okay, just shout out the chat. We have ICT Vinny. We already drunk people. I'm hungover, baby. I'm hungover. I'm getting better.
I gotta do something about that.
Jaina in the chat, great to see you. You're balmy. Blair de Blair's here, and he's here as well. Nosferatu, Nerdporeal, Dempsey as well. Good to see you, man. I hope you're good.
Hey,
I hope you're genki.
Hey, everybody.
And who have I missed? Jacob Ironside as well. Okay.
Hey,
I tell you what, guys, I've not checked.
Hey,
but have you...
wait, and that 70s rock fan who snuck it in under the wire.
Where is
Oh,
he?
just got
Oh,
in.
here he is.
Our man in Alberta. Cheers to you, dude.
Salty, can you vamp for a sec? I'll send him the invite.
Okay, I'll vamp for a sec.
Thank you, darling.
I was going to present something to vamp, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's just talk. Let's go. Let's start. So let's start out with Steve. Steve, why haven't you seen this movie? Just to put you on the spot, why haven't you seen probably one of the greatest movies ever? All right, it's not just me, Nerdporeal. Let's do an intervention, Blair. You guys, everybody thinks I'm an asshole. This is tough love.
So I haven't ruined anything in a while. So Doctor No sucks. Or no, kidding. I have no idea. I've watched the movie, but it was a long time ago. I just don't remember it. I mean, I've seen all the. I'm not a big, huge Bond fan like you guys. I mean, Bond's fine, but like, if you guys are talking about it, I'll probably like, oh yeah, I remember that. But I can't recall what I had for breakfast or like to eat.
Me neither.
So
it's true.
So so remembering a movie I watched 5-6 years ago, it's
I'm telling you though, those game streams are rotting your brain, Steve.
Yeah. Gamer brain.
My brain can't get much more rotted. You know this. My brain is mush anyway. Plus, I was gathering like articles and stuff for a video I'm gonna do tomorrow. You know what it was. You know what that's about. So every time I start reading some of that crap, my IQ goes down 2 points. So
it's hard. It's hard
down.
to cover that particular
Hey, if
fandom.
that
I'm
was my
going to tell
IQ,
everybody that.
was
I don't know how you go
negative
below
points.
0, but I managed to every time. I'm
I'd be
like
below 0.
70s, great to see you, mate. Welcome,
Good
welcome.
evening. Thank you for the invite. It's very good of you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
That's
splendid. Splendid of you.
You missed it. We were watching a little bit of Sean Connery and was it Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Oh God,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
his Irish accent.
Irish. Diddly potatoes.
Oh
That's
God,
a Disney movie as well.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
It's still better than Elemental though. So.
It's more Tolkien than the Rings of Power. Okay, let's just put it that way. You know.
Yeah, but I really had to join this stream. Thank you for letting me on, guys. Appreciate it. Because as I say, I'm kind of I literally grew up within about 4 or 5 miles of where Sean Connery did. So
No way.
my mother
awesome.
didn't know him, but she knew girls that did know him.
No way.
Because he wasn't at his
I
high
bet
school.
she did.
He
I bet
wasn't
she
at his
did.
high school, but she knew girls that were at his high school. He was a very popular chap, Big Tam.
I bet.
Thomas Connery, the Big Tam. So. But yeah, so I had to get on here. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, mate.
brilliant.
Great to have you. Yeah, that's awesome.
We need
So,
authority on the channel.
what are we
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
but
again,
that-
guys?
oh.
Dr. No, 1962, directed by Terence Young. It's the first James Bond movie, and you don't see him in the beginning, do you? The way he introduces him is so good. You just see him from behind. He's like dealing cards, playing a card game. You see a very hot lady first, don't you, before you see Sean?
There's an interesting thing about the casting in that hot brunette that he's beating at Baccarat, that he breaks into his apartment and is wearing his clothes when he comes home. The original actress that the producer for the movie wanted was actually the same one who played Moneypenny. He
No
wanted
way.
the Moneypenny actress to be that sultry, friend with benefits. She said she wouldn't do it, that there's no way, that wasn't proper enough at the time. And so they gave her the role of Moneypenny, and she was in 14 movies from that decision. It's a true story.
So I guess that Sylvia Trench there is she's the first Bond girl then, because she's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first one on
I
screen.
filmed.
Hot.
And she was in From Russia with Love as well.
That's
She was
right,
in
yeah.
2 movies in the very beginning.
There's a
I
lot
wonder
of
if
actors
she
did that.
I wonder if she was connected to Terence Young. That's why she was in these 2 movies as opposed to Guy Hamilton did Goldfinger.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
She grew up in Edinburgh as well. She wasn't born in Scotland, but she grew up in Edinburgh, same as Sean Connery. So
Really?
yeah.
How many actors are Scottish in the Bond movies?
There's
I've
wee
been
Jock Poo McPlop. He's one of them. I don't know really.
What?
I think Sean's the only one, isn't he?
McPlop?
McPlop? Is that what I heard?
That's a Blackadder joke.
That's what I've seen.
Wee Jock Poo McPlop that cleans the public toilets in Aberdeen.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Sylvia Trench. Wouldn't you like to just be in the trenches, Sylvia Trench?
And look here. This is
be
the
in the
early
mountains.
60s. Early 60s. Everybody's smoking. Smoking was good for you back then.
You can
Oh,
see
yeah.
the smoke in
If I-
that air.
If I was that age in the 60s, I'd be smoking.
Yeah. Why not?
You're always smoking, mate. What are you talking about? You're smoking hot.
Oh.
I just threw the movie on and like 3 black guys just threw a corpse in a hearse. What the hell? Is this how this movie starts?
Hurry, man! Hurry,
There's a lot of Bond films started like that, I guess. Like Live
Three
and Let Die.
blind mice.
Oh, God. So many
Three
jokes I want to
blind
make.
So I guess that's the first Bond song as well. Then.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that and the open and the
Oh,
original,
my.
the classic theme.
Yeah, and this is where that theme, of course, had caused years of contention, because written by Monty Norman, who did the music for this film, but orchestrated by
Yes.
Jeff Barry, and they
Yes.
were at each other for decades after that.
The
Because
other
Jeff-
thing, too. Go ahead,
John
sorry.
Barry. No, it's John Barry. That's Jeff Barry. I think John Barry.
No,
So go
the
ahead.
other thing with that song, because you're spot on with that, so much drama behind so many of these Bond flicks. I mean, that 70s nailed it. This song, and if I'm understanding the history of it, was actually composed for a stage play.
Yeah.
And it was an Indian continent, not North
Yeah, it was
American.
meant to be like an Indian.
And so the James Bond riff that you hear on that electric guitar, I believe it's a Telecaster, run through it. Yeah, that melody was originally composed for sitar for this Indian stage play. And it's crazy because you can hear it once you think about it. You can hear how that twangy early 60s guitar sound would totally be.
Sounds like bullshit to me, but
shut up. Just watch the
Wait a
movie.
minute, who invited Steve?
Watch the movie and not a log.
I'm watching the movie and I hear some bullshit, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I love
Well, guys, come on. How good is it that it opens like with a song? It's a reggae song, basically. It's a reggae song that opens the first James Bond movie. No matter what you think about it, I think that is just brilliant. And what a great opening scene. How good does Jamaica look? Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the details. Look at the cars and the buses.
Yeah.
This movie just takes, like, these movies take you all over the world. I mean, starting with, obviously, with Jamaica.
Oh, yeah.
Travel
Look at
logs.
this. Yeah.
That was part of the appeal, wasn't it? Really, the travelogue
Yes.
aspect, especially in this an era,
Yes.
the early '60s, where a lot of people didn't travel. Really,
Yeah.
They couldn't. It was expensive, and it was something rich people did. You've got some more people that have showed up in chat, including Wumba Troopa is here. You got
Wumpa
Dwayne.
What are you saying, Salty? Wumpa bumper? Oompa lumpa?
I don't know.
You
I'm
got
just making up
Sword
crap
Jaw
about
or
his
something
music
else.
too, so I don't know.
Yeah, National
Great to
Geographic
see.
is the only time you got to see, exotic locations and.
I thought you were going to
And
say
naked
naked
women.
chicks.
I thought I was going
I
to
was
say
gonna say
exotic
naked
boobies.
Men of a
I thought I was
certain
gonna say exotic
generation,
boobies, yeah.
boobs. We saw boobs. That's how we saw boobs.
Native
Boobies.
boobies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they always seem to hang down, though, didn't they? That's a
That's
shame.
true. Yeah.
Nerdporeal gets to see exotic boobies every
because
day.
those were for work, not pleasure.
70s, what you like.
I
Where are we?
got what Steve said. Did anybody else get that? Just ask it. All right. Never
What did he
mind.
say?
What?
Who said what?
I said nothing. This movie is great. I'm not
Nothing.
going to ruin it for anybody. I promise.
He said that Connery's the best Bond. We're just gonna leave it there. 'cause what you said, you
this
probably don't
woman
wanna-
got ketchup on her dress and they dragged her out of the house. It was crazy. I'm into it now.
Oh,
What a fantastic view.
A woman who knows how to play with balls. That's just what shows.
well, she knows how to keep a hard iron in her hand. That's the part that I noticed.
I love the way you see his apartment, his flat in London. I think it's probably one of the only times we see that, isn't it, in this first movie?
I think so. It's clearly a soundstage, but it's pretty slick.
There we go. That's his entrance. Look at that. Look at that chair.
Yeah.
Living
Salty,
large.
look at the golden eagles on the wall. Like,
I remember all of that. We
is
talked about it. I mean, I was born in 1970. This movie was released in the UK, and this is important, in 1962. However,
before even I was born.
And it didn't come over to the United States, though, officially until May of 1963, which is important. Because if you look at the movies that came out in 1962, and then you look at the movies that came out in 1963, you understand what this movie was up against. And it's not crap. Let's just say that. It is what would be considered classic movies from the time. So
I'm very glad they decided to make it in color, not because a lot of movies were still black and white in this era, and cost-wise, color was more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I'm very glad they didn't succumb to that, and they set out to make it look as good as they could, even though
Yeah, the
budget
colors
wasn't
are
good.
very good.
They
And
do
like
that.
it's like the 60s colors that,
it's rich. And especially when they're doing the exteriors in Jamaica and the Caribbean, that to me, it blows my mind, because I just got these on Blu-ray, all of them fully restored, and they look just freaking amazing. I mean, look at the color of the interior of that.
yeah.
Look at that bright
steering wheel.
red steering wheel. Jeez.
Did you see the ketchup on that woman's blouse at the first scene? That was. Oh, sorry.
It's
I'll
very
go back
red.
to shutting up. I'm sorry.
what about the ketchup again, Steve?
Hey, what?
I think you need a hot dog or something.
Which Bond is a better gambler, Sean Connery Bond or Daniel Craig Bond? Because they're both playing poker.
Sean Connery.
Sean
I think Sean Connery's
all the
always
way.
the answer to that, right? I mean,
He's also
right?
great at judo. Did you know that, guys?
Here he
Did you
goes.
forget?
Judo
Yeah.
flip.
He's also
Yeah.
good at ring toss because he threw that hat out of that coat rack like a champ. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
buddy.
That's true.
Mhm.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
This
Salty
is a
got something
weird,
to share.
it's a weird dance move they're doing here. This is like
Look at that
calypso music.
car.
It's the calypso
Look at that
music.
Chevy. Look at
Was
that
that a
Chevy.
57 or
I
58?
I think it's a 56 or a 58 because the fins aren't as high as the 57. That's my guess.
You're
Brian, I'm
looking at
going to
the
need an
car?
assist on this. You're
Oh,
all dude, dude.
another Brian. No, yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you.
thought-
That's right. You guys only rode goats in Scotland. I'm sorry. I forgot about
No,
that.
the goats
boy
were
they
goats
call
were for the
Brian.
elite. We had to settle
Okay.
for sheep.
All right.
They call it mutton boarding, riding a sheep.
Oh God.
I
They
like
do
the
that
sound
in
of that.
Guantanamo
Believe
Bay
you,
now.
that's an actual thing at rodeos, mutton boarding.
I don't even want to know what that is. Guys, the details, the details in this. Just one thing. After this fight scene, I didn't catch it, but you see, after he's punched him, you see Sean Connery's his knuckles and the red. There's like they put makeup on. It shows like after he punched him. You don't see that anymore, do you? It's like he's got like bruised or like bloody knuckles. I think that is so cool.
They don't even bleed when they go through plate glass windows anymore, man.
Especially in peripheral.
That's
true.
funny.
Okay, Salty, what are we sharing here? Let's add it to the
So
screen.
this is what I like to do whenever I come on and we talk about movies. Put it in context. So
Yes.
this is from this again. This movie was released in the UK in '62, but not until May of 1963 did it come out in the United States. And if you look at the numbers, first of all, look at the competition that this movie was up against. The number one movie of 1963 was Cleopatra, of course, with Elizabeth Taylor. How the West Was Won, one of the greatest Westerns ever made. You've got and then Tom Jones, go down through there. Son of Flubber made more money at the box office.
I think
It's
it's a shame.
Disney movie.
So
But-
Salty, I think it's a shame that the movies didn't continue down in that list with longer and longer titles as they went. So the first three got longer and longer, and then it's,
I know. Well, I mean, look at the movies that were out. You had Dr. No, you had McClintock, of course, another famous John Wayne movie. You had Charade,
That was a good
Charade
movie.
with
Yeah.
Cary Grant in oh god, what's her
She's a
name?
hell of a
Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn.
Oh,
Bye
wow,
Bye
yes.
Birdie, The Sword in the Stone.
Sword in the Stone.
Animated from Disney, and then you can kind of see The Great Escape came out in '63. The
because
Birds
as far back as
came
that.
out.
Hey, can we play a much more depressing game? How many of these are being remade this year?
Oh God.
I mean, it's a mad world was remade. It's called Rat Race.
Donovan's Reef. That's good.
Yeah. I love
Just
Donovan's
profit.
Reef.
Spoiled
But
it
you-
again.
Oh, a couple of
That's what I have.
two Elvis movies in a row.
Yep.
Down at the
Fun
bottom.
in Acapulco. Yep,
And,
there
and
it
it
is.
happened at the World's Fair. Yeah.
Yep.
I think
So
at
that's-
number 4, having Tom Jones, it's not unusual to see that.
Yeah. Different. But out of all of the box office in the United States, Dr. No was number 7, beaten handily by Cleopatra, How the West Was Won, and believe it or not, Son of Flubber with Fred McMurray. in
I
the
like the
movies.
fact that those lists show the tickets sold, and that's something
Yes.
I think that I wish they did now, because they cover up a lot of sins by not
Oh,
showing
yeah.
tickets.
Yeah. Well, especially if there's an asterisk saying how much the movie studio bought, like Disney. Like how many of the
Right.
tickets did they buy for
Like
their
like
own-
Captain Marvel,
Yeah, in the
Indiana
Marvels.
Jones.
In the Marvels coming out. Yeah.
I think half the seats for Indiana Jones were bought by the theater for freaking giveaways, but
Yeah.
Trooper got my Tom Jones joke. He got it.
It's not unusual indeed.
I want to know what Salty's got against Son of Flubber. Like it wasn't quality entertainment.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that movie, Steve?
Of
Before you
course I
bust my
have.
balls.
I have
Okay,
it right
who's in
here
it?
on my shelf. It's like I watch it every day.
That movie was remade
Flubber.
with Robin Williams.
That's right.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So I just wanted to drop
It's
that.
a hell of a list, though. Thank you for showing that.
Yeah, I mean, just again, context. I wasn't born. You were 1 year old that '70s, so it's
I
like,
was. Yeah.
I
I would imagine that. I mean, I don't know the numbers for the UK, but I think it probably did really well.
it's
I think Wikipedia says the 5th most popular movie of the year, but if anyone can believe Wikipedia, but I mean, not bad given it was a new property with a new. Well, not. I mean, the books were well established, but a new property with a new. New movie. I franchise to establish. So
Hawaii
Yeah.
5-0's Jack Lord. I
That's right.
forgot he was
That's
in
right.
this.
the first of a
That's
long
gonna
line
say,
of Felix's.
Felix Leitners. One got eaten by a shark with Dalton. We talked about that
Yeah.
last week.
That was
But,
terrible. Yeah, poor Felix.
At his
What do you think of this
wife's
one?
wedding,
this
no
Felix?
less.
I think Jack Lord made a great Felix, but
I do.
Isn't it the case that he thought he was the star of the movie? That's why they didn't cast him as Felix again.
Oh, really?
No,
I think I actually about that.
He believed that he was a co-star of the movie, and he made big demands to come back in the role, and they went,
No
"Yeah, fuck
way."
you. It's not you. It's a Bond movie, not a Felix Leiter movie."
But he got a YE50, and I think that's a memorable detective film, and
It
he got to
is.
be in Hawaii.
Did he
Or not
wear those?
film,
Did he ever
series.
wear those sunglasses again? Look at those sunglasses.
They're so
He,
good, aren't
he
they?
wore the
Nerdporeal?
Wayfarers. He pretty much wore that standard, like the square Wayfarers.
Oh, I wish I had that a clip of that Hawaii 5-0 theme. I had one on my
Dun, dun,
stream
dun,
deck.
dun, dun,
My
dun,
parents
dun,
had
dun,
that album.
dun.
I've got it on
They
a
used to play it all the
soundtrack
time.
album back there. It's great. I love that
Yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
So why is Bond in Jamaica? Shouldn't he be like working in London? Why is he in Jamaica?
Well, they sent him to Jamaica because reasons.
A British.
It's a murder mystery. They're trying to find out what happened to their agent,
That's right.
Agent Strangways, or
Agent Strangways.
he spilled
and his
he spilled
assistant.
ketchup on his shirt, and then
I always thought he was
and he-
called
and he-
Strange Ways.
Yeah,
I
me
know.
too.
Strange Ways.
Like the
Strangways
prison
is-
in Manchester.
Yeah, that's it,
For the
yeah.
longest time, I thought the Smiths took the name of their album "Strange Ways, Here We Come"
From
from
him.
Strangways in this
Yeah.
movie. When
No
I was-
way.
Confused me for
Yeah.
decades. That yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
area in Manchester. I used to live near there. There's a big
See,
prison
I
there. Yeah.
didn't. Oh wow!
That's why I
Strange
always
Ways,
do
Here
the
We
different-
Come. That kind of thing.
Did you notice the professor dude, the geologist guy, is the dial-in for murder guy,
Professor Dent.
Professor Dent.
Professor Dent.
No
Professor
way.
Dent.
Look at Nerdporeal with the knowledge.
Now,
Fantastic.
now hang on
Dropping
here.
bombs.
So is the gentleman on the right Quarrel?
Yes.
Yes.
Because he's in this, but his son appears in a later Bond movie.
Live and Let Die. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, I couldn't
really?
remember which one.
Quarrel,
Yeah,
Nice.
Quarrel
Yeah,
so there's
Jr.
some continuity
Quarrel
there.
Jr.
Yeah, Quarrel Jr. Yeah.
Which was Roger Moore's first Bond.
Yeah,
right.
and a great one too. A very
I
great one.
know. Great soundtrack.
And this
too.
actress is pretty interesting.
Chesty.
Yes.
Yeah, Jamaica is part of the Commonwealth.
It was, yeah. Jamaica was a British colony for a long time. They love you a long time. Oh,
I
that's
don't
a
know if it
different
still
area of the
is.
world.
Do you know?
It's
70s?
part of the Commonwealth. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they were granted their independence, generously by the British government at one point. But at this point, it was probably still a colony, not a separate, not its own country. I'm not entirely sure.
I got a question. Do you guys think do you think that the photographer was the leak? Or somebody leaked that Bond was there. That's why he got picked up by the.
No,
by the
it was
driver
the
dude?
secretary.
yeah.
She was the leak.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
She's
That's
a red
right.
herring.
I thought you were an expert, Brian. Jesus.
Yeah.
This is
So
a
you
great
got
set.
you got me. You got me. You got me.
Yeah, you don't
I'm a
see the guy,
phony.
you just hear his voice.
This is a great set. I mean,
This is look at this. This is
How
look at-
good is
look
that
at the
lighting?
Perfect.
Fantastic.
It's perfect. Hey,
Yeah. I
Steve,
mean-
where are you at in the movie you're watching while we're trying to talk?
I'm watching this guy drive James very badly in the center of the road as he's being tailed by the weird guy that's following him.
Yeah, we talked about. You'll love this movie. You will. We'll have to do another live stream after you've seen it. So, because I think it'd be fun to talk about.
It's great he's doing a live watch, isn't it, at the moment, Steve? You can give us a running commentary.
That's why
What's
I
going
asked.
on?
I wasn't
James
trying to
is
be a
about to
dick. I just
Well,
thought.
James, do you
where it
think
was.
Sean Connery's going to kill the driver or something because he knows he's the fake? But he's driving real fast. I don't know what's happening. I don't
doesn't
know
kill
what
him.
kind of an idiot this guy is to not see you turned off there, but it's okay. They had to get away, right?
Do you think they
Sorry.
sped up these scenes, like the driving scenes back in the day? Because they always look like they're going too fast, don't they? It's almost
yeah,
like,
they did
Yeah.
do that speeding up thing, or yeah.
Yeah, because all of a sudden the car goes, zoom, and stops.
Those older cars did not handle like that. Okay,
Well,
they
I
were
think-
big and they were
No,
heavy,
no
and they
way.
did
What
not
they-
turn on a dime. No.
Yeah, I think what they did was they filmed them at half speed and then replayed it back at normal to make it
Okay,
that
Mhm.
fast speed. Yeah.
that makes sense, yeah.
Not that I'm an expert in the technical shit. I don't.
But it's really obvious in Goldfinger too when he's driving around the city with the mirrors and stuff and turning. It's really obvious in that. But it doesn't take me out of the movie. It doesn't take me out. You know?
Oh, he just karate chopped the guy.
I'm hearing
Judo
the music.
chop. Judo chop.
You hear the music in the background. That's awesome.
You can hear the music. Yeah, that's the channel struck straight away.
I was gonna say, yeah.
What hell kind of kung fu is this?
Dude, it's
Judo.
the 60s. It's the 60s.
Judo.
It's judo,
Oh,
baby.
that was the picture you guys just showed. That bad shoulder toss. Okay, here we go.
Jesus.
It's pretty. Yeah, it does show its age in many respects. Although at the time it was seen as a pretty hard film. It's the fighting is a bit.
No, it's an older movie. You gotta forgive some of those things, right? Just I like that Sean Connery's Bond just ripped that guy's face open in one punch. Just like, yeah, that's a man right there. He's down in one shot.
Which is more reality.
He's crying.
Yeah.
He's crying. Oh my god. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Yeah, you
It's
get punched in the
reality
face.
though, if you think about
Hurts.
it.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's good.
I mean, if I was punched in the face by somebody like Sean Connery, I probably would be down and out. That's it. You know?
Yeah.
It's not like John Wick where you can be punched 500 times and
shot too. Shot too.
Yeah.
800
Or
times shot. Yeah.
Gladriel or Gladriel. Yeah.
Guy Ladriel.
But yes,
Don't you miss that, guys? I know it's kind of it's a bit cheesy. It's dated, but I think it looks good. I think it holds up. It looks like he's actually
love this
fighting.
movie.
You know, it's choreographed, it's
I
staged.
think
But
it's more realistic, right? I
Yeah.
mean, instead of all these like, you get to jump on somebody, hit them, right? They're gonna,
yeah,
it's fine. I'm being silly. It's all good.
But it
absolutely.
establishes
Here we go.
Bond. It establishes it establishes how awesome he is.
Well,
So
Who's this?
before the movie came out, the producers, in order to promote it, because everybody had read Ian Fleming's books, but they did a big casting call all throughout the UK of who could be James Bond, and all of these men came forward, and this was the man, and his name was Anthony something, I forget, and I can look on my phone and sheet if you want. Anthony somebody. But he was a male model with absolutely no acting experience. And this is the person that Broccoli or whatever the hell his name was picked as being and Ian Fleming picked as being the representation that the author had of what James Bond was. So they had absolutely no intent to ever cast this guy, but this was the image that went out to promote the movie and what they were going to do with it. And then, of course, Connery was cast. Interestingly enough, the American movie studio behind this said, "What the hell are you doing with this Scottish guy? He's ugly and he can't act. We don't want him as James Bond." Sean Connery.
Yeah,
How could I make that up? Have you seen modern cinema in the last 5 years? Of course, that's what they did. And Broccoli wouldn't budge on it, and sure enough, they cast him.
When he showed up for his interview to audition, they saw him walking across the parking lot, and they said he walked like a panther. He had that slink, that suave thing, and they're like, "That's James Bond."
They really said he was ugly?
Oh yeah, they hated him.
Yeah.
Is that why all the cast around him are incredibly ugly?
I don't think he's. Yeah, I wouldn't say he was ugly, but he was certainly not smooth. He wasn't smooth.
Yeah, he wasn't pretty, boy. He was manually rugged.
There are some weird looking guys in this. That's all I'm saying. Like some of the male, like the females are all beautiful. I'm talking about. There's like the guy he's talking about right now. He's bald. He's got a weird shaped head. He's got a missing teeth like me. I mean,
I thought you were talking about me there for a minute.
Are you talking about M? I mean, what?
I'm not. It was the guy at the embassy. He just drove up with the car with the dead body, and he went up and talked to the guy. And there's this ugly
Sergeant, make sure nobody gets. Make sure he doesn't get away.
I love that guy's socks.
Oh, that's who you're talking about.
You remember his socks, Blair? I'm impressed.
So
I'm like, is he wearing hose? What
I don't know who that Anthony guy was, but he looked more like Steed out of the Avengers than he did Bond. But
that's it. Yeah.
Just about every major British actor auditioned for the role at some time or another. So you had Michael Caine, David Niven, Terence Stamp. They all had a bash at it. So a lot
Did
of
David Niven play him in that
He
one
did.
Casino Royale spoof thing?
He did, yes. He played him in that, and so did Peter Sellers and Woody
Yes.
Allen.
Uh-huh.
Woody
Little
Allen, that's
Jimmy
crazy.
Bond. Little
Yeah.
Jimmy Bond. That was
Yeah, yeah.
It was Peter Anthony was the name of the guy who won
Peter
the modeling
Anthony,
contest. Yeah, good luck. That's the only image I could find of him. Is that one? So
Is this who you're talking about, Steve?
That's the guy right there. Look at this
There-
weird, ugly little guy. Like, of course.
Oh, that is. I think you're being very
Racist?
Racist. Racist.
I didn't
Yeah.
say anything about it.
Gently
I
challenged
just said
sort of
he's
the British
small and ugly.
font.
I'm a sizist, if anything.
But he's
I
got
mean,
an
come on.
enormous package to make up for it.
Steve,
has
don't worry
a
about it,
little bit. I
mate. You're
haven't
welcome
seen
to
it.
stay
Is
as
that
long as
later?
you want. Seriously.
The
Anyway, what were we saying? What were we talking about?
he left. He left.
Yeah, I
Got a
didn't-
picture of his socks, Gray. I want to see that.
All right, wait. Let me see if I can. Let me see.
Can
if
you
I
get
can.
the socks? Oh, look. Oh, that was awesome then.
That was a
Blair.
great
Not
shot of
Blair,
that
sorry,
guy.
Nerdporeal.
Fish there. Look
There
at that
we go.
hat, man.
That's
He
so
does-
British
he does
colonial.
work that hat.
So
He's
British
working on that
colonial.
hat.
You know who he looks like? He looks like Khrushchev.
He does.
Yeah.
So he's actually working for Smersh or something like that.
Schmersh.
Smersh.
I got schmersh last
Well,
night.
he's got the-
70s.
he's got
Smear
the
out of my
Ivan
mind,
Able
yeah.
stick that he hits people with too, right? Does he hit somebody with that little stick he's carrying?
There it
around?
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
It's neat set though. I mean, these are there's a lot of Queen Elizabeth.
He is wearing the hell
This
out
was
of them shorts.
tropical dress, but this was tropical
those
officer
shorts.
dress.
He waxes
in the
those
1960s.
Shorts and long socks. Awesome.
I love that outfit. I'm going for that look.
Well, it is in Jamaica, right? Like that's what Salty's saying. I get it.
That's how I look from
This
the
is
waist down.
government
That's why
house.
you
It's
never
gonna
see
be
me on
grand.
every live stream. I except they're like blaze orange hunting socks with
Did he-
tropical.
Do you have sock
shorts.
suspenders though,
Did
Salty?
he
That's the
shave so he's
question.
more
I do.
aerodynamic?
I do. Well,
Is he
Shorts
waxed?
and drugs and rock and roll.
Oh my goodness.
Now we have weird boater guy talking to him. All right, getting into it.
Are you all watching the movie or just one of you?
It's just me. I
Just-
am
just
Just
watching it.
profit.
It's just you, okay?
He's trying to catch up.
But I'm
Profit was
actually-
a last minute addition. It's like, come on, you're welcome. I've not seen you for ages. I thought he'd fallen
Yeah.
out with me, because I say he ruined Picard and Peripheral for me. But I'm only joking, Steve.
I like
how can
how
you
you
ruin something that's already crap?
I like how you say Steve has to catch up because ketchup on shirts and everything.
Oh,
and-
wow.
It's coming back to the ketchup again.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Okay, feel free to kick me off too for my portable jokes.
Bravo, absolutely.
I
Okay,
like
anyway.
the running gag though. It's a good. It's not great, but it's working. So yeah, I mean, just keep
Well,
going
not
with
even
it.
pink, not ketchup. It was a little bright, so it was like it was sort of neon.
It is ridiculously red. Just say that.
Everybody, don't forget to like the video. That way, Steve will eat some ketchup packets with the mayo packets.
Hey,
I like
come,
ketchup.
come
We
the,
can't
come
go
the
to the mail. I
apocalypse,
don't
you'll
wanna
be
hear
happy
about
to
it.
have those.
That's true. Which
Guys,
is right around the corner.
Back to the movie. This, as a kid, the first time I saw this on TV, of course, as a kid, this scene really freaked me out. I'll show you it now. Here we go. Oh my god, a tarantula on Sean
Oh, I
Connery.
know that.
That
Yeah.
really freaked me out.
That
Oh
freaked
my
me
God.
out.
good
It
is
looks like it's on glass.
I think.
Yeah,
it,
it
was,
is,
it was
but-
on glass. It was on glass.
But not back on broadcast TV when you were watching it on the tube. Like like one
exactly.
of those,
You wouldn't have been able
one
to
of
tell
those
it.
broadcast
Crappy old
TV.
TV
It's a
set.
real
You can tell it-
tarantula, but a fake Sean Connery.
A fake
Yeah.
shoulder.
No, I'm just
Look at his
kidding.
hairy chest, though. I love it.
Is that a classic Sean Connery? Looks so
Yes.
real.
Yes.
Yes, Steve, it is.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Is that like a love doll? You can order that as a prop.
It's an inflatable Sean. Yes.
I love how the
It's very
first guy
supple.
they murder by having a 3-man assassination squad just light him up, and now here they're trying this contrived poisonous spider thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Are you saying that was crawling on glass and not him? Is that
But
what you?
this-
yeah,
You've just hit upon a Bond trope, though, where the bad guys
Yes.
refuse to take care of business early enough and properly.
Mhm.
Like, why didn't they just nuke the hotel he's in or whatever?
Give a door and shotgun him.
Just escalate nukes. Screw it.
30
Nuke it.
guys with shotguns, blow the whole room to shit. There's like,
You remember the
don't
movie
worry,
The Gauntlet with Clint Eastwood?
Yes,
They
I do,
shut
yeah.
the hell out of the house. Yeah, do that. Just
Yeah,
shoot
but-
it till it falls down.
I mean, they never take the opportunity to kill him when they've got the chance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Spec. Good to see you,
Hello,
mate.
Spec.
Hell.
But the driving scenes are so good. They're so fake, but I don't know. For some reason, for me, it looks even better than the modern stuff, I think. I just love it. The back projection, Salty. Do you?
I love it. I mean, in this movie, I think it does a pretty decent job.
It's pretty good,
again,
yeah.
Some of the Bond movies, they're out of perspective and scale. Like the car behind him is like 50% too big. But in this movie, it's not. It's totally fine, you know? So.
Delicious.
I wonder if that's really his hair there, or is he already wearing a hairpiece by this time?
He was wearing
that's
that
another.
hairpiece.
Yeah, that was part of it. Was his hair was already thinning, so there was speculation, and some people on set that he actually had two. He had two toupees. He had two. He had one for this situations like this, and another one for when he got wet when he was in the water. So.
Yeah, I heard he lost his hair when he was a teenager. At least that's what I think he said in an interview.
Yeah.
So,
have you ever seen the film The Big Tease? Craig Ferguson movie. It's a Craig Ferguson comedy where he plays a hairdresser, and there's a scene in it where he gets a call from Sean Connery, who has to go and do emergency work on his toupee.
Really?
Yeah, he's on a golf course somewhere and he's run into problems because I've got to go help Big Sean. You know. It's The Big Tease, a 1999 movie with Craig Ferguson. It's pretty funny.
Hey to Jaina, she's joined us, as well as somebody else who flew past. But no.
Thank you, Zaxx. I really appreciate it, mate. He's become a member of the dojo.
Zaxx and drugs and rock and roll.
And talking about Jaina and beautiful ladies, look at this character here. I can't remember her name, but hey, who needs to remember her name, right? So
it's Miss Goodiebag. That's it's Miss Goodiebag. That's what it is. Yeah.
What was the name of the guy who ran the restaurant? The big black guy. What's his name?
Pussman.
Pussman. Yes, these are the greatest names ever.
They are great names.
I thought it was Bossman. It's Pussman. It's not as good as Pussy Galore, though, is it?
No.
I thought Bond was the Pussman.
But I mean, look at how
what?
Look at the goodies, that are in this movie. I'm just gonna
Indeed.
What's with the guy freaking out while he's dancing? Did you please tell me?
I saw that.
What is that guy an extra? He's like having a seizure.
He's like a zombie.
The famous scene.
Oh, that launched the whole thing.
Ursula Andress.
What an introduction. Ursula Andress, absolutely
Who
fantastic.
did the with Halle Berry? Was she like in the remake outfit? Yeah.
And this appearance by Ursula Andress, she was a relatively unknown Swiss actress. So she was Swiss. And the use of this obviously was very effective. I remember as a boy being very moved by this as well. But this outfit actually popularized bikinis, and that's why they started to take off.
That's right.
In the 60s.
And she's still with us,
should take them off, yes.
I remember her in Clash of the Titans. She was Aphrodite.
And then she did a lot of Hammer movies.
Hammer, that's right. She was famous in the Hammer movies. Yeah,
she did loads of those.
Honey Rider, that was her name.
Yes, Honey Rider.
Honey Rider. Well, I mean, already with the great names already. Well, of course it was in the book, but great names. Honey Rider.
Well, these are taken from the books, aren't they? 70s.
Some of them
they're not made up. Yeah. Fantastic.
And we talked about it. I read this book in high school, and her backstory is filled out a lot more. And it's written in a style from that time where it doesn't go into graphic detail, but what she had to do to survive as a beautiful young woman, in some of the stuff. So she has a backstory that is actually quite compelling. And James is really protective of her for that reason, because she kind of opens up to him about what happened to her. So
it's still I mean, things are pretty rough in Hollywood now, I guess, on the casting couch. But it would be tough to survive in that business then. Is it right that her voice was actually dubbed in this because her accent was too heavy?
I heard that too.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. There she is holding her clams.
Oh yeah, her big shells.
Just one clam, really.
Even now she's Swiss. All these James Bond movies had European actors and so you got a lot of the Swiss and the Scandinavians and the Germans and
well, you get the world. Bond had the world tour in his bedroom. But yeah, that scene where she comes out of the sea, I mean, that's immortal. Now, I mean, that's an immortal scene. It's so famous. Even if people have never seen this movie, they'll know about that scene.
Yeah, they'll know what it comes from.
It says here, guys, her spoken dialogue was dubbed by Nikki van der Zil, and her singing voice was dubbed by Diana Copeland. There we go.
Wow.
Both uncredited.
Which is hilarious because apparently, and I just looked it up because you mentioned this name, Nikki van der Zil. She was German as well, so the accent couldn't have been much different.
Yeah, it was probably very similar. Yeah, maybe they didn't have confidence.
Nine.
Yes.
Achtung!
We ask the questions, Mr. Bond.
Would you like to see my goodie bag, Mr. Bond?
Well, she worked on lots of Bond movies, apparently. I'm looking her up now. I never even heard of her before. Yeah, she dubbed voices for lots of Bond actresses who, as you say, were foreign, a lot of them. So, yeah, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice. So she got a lot of work behind the scenes, never in front of the camera. Never in front of the camera. No. And I can see why.
I was going to say.
I was going to ask, yeah.
Was there a reason? And the answer is yes.
Yes. Her surname should have been Munter.
Iron Casted in the chat. Good to see you, mate. I hope you're good. I hope you're getting
Being so judgmental. It's ridiculous.
Also, Dwayne Muth is here. KC Charlie chats. Of course, Jaina, Dempsey. Dempsey's dropping Octopussy in the chat. Yeah. Now that is a later Roger Moore movie, isn't it? Doesn't hold up very well.
You see, if they were to do it now, they'd have to call it an Octobonish hole, not Octopussy. Octobonish hole.
It would be Octo Day Them Pussy. That's what.
Octobonish hole.
We got some love for From Russia with Love as well in the chat as well. You were talking about that before. It's your favourite. It's probably his favourite one, Ironcaster. Who was saying that? Was it Salty or Nerdporeal?
That was me.
Salty.
For many years, Salty, I would have agreed with you, and I might still agree with you. It's hard to pick one.
It's
I've always liked that, and it's because of Robert Shaw as the
That's
villain.
what I mean.
He's awesome.
Oh yeah,
his menace is always there, and we talk about it.
He's constantly present throughout the movie. Like he is like literally stalking Bond at every opportunity. He's always like 2 or 3 steps ahead of him. And he would, if it wasn't for Q's little briefcase, Grant would have killed him.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
What do you think surpasses it?
I don't know. I've in my own mind, having watched them all many times over the years, many of them in the cinema. Certainly, Live and Let Die, I think, was the first one I saw in the cinema when it came out. But I've seen all the others on television. I've struggled mightily trying to think which is my absolute favorite, and it was always for many years From Russia with Love. I've kind of got a sneaking liking for Live and Let Die as well, though. You know,
okay,
just because it was that first one.
Get that.
Me too. Yeah. Roger Moore was really good in that as well.
Yeah,
the first one.
I think the Bond movie that pretty much had it all. I mean, a lot of people would say Goldfinger, and I understand that, but Thunderball.
I was just gonna say Thunderball. I think you get that holy trinity of Thunderball, Goldfinger, and From Russia with Love. I mean, that is the holy trinity in me of Bond.
Thunderball is one of your favorites, Salty, isn't it? Thunderball.
He does like Thunderballs. It's true. The thing that always put me off that movie, I hate to say, is that I believe the underwater scenes are far too long in it.
I liked it,
never liked those,
except at the end.
Just goes on and on too long.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like that ruins the rest of the movie's brilliant, and then I think, well, there's 5 minutes too much here of underwater. Let's cut to the chase. Please.
Like when they're throwing hand grenades off the speedboat, and I get it, but I like it. I like that movie. I like that movie.
I love the I love the beginning of Thunderball. Like the beginning of Thunderball is one of the. I mean, Goldfinger has got a great beginning too, but I love the core. Like you want to see good choreography, Thunderball. The beginning of Thunderball, the fight in the beginning, there.
And Domino is hot.
You gotta go Italian. You gotta go Italian with Domino.
And strangely enough, another one I've always had a soft spot for is For Your Eyes Only. which I've always felt was
It's one of my favorites.
I hated that movie as a kid.
But now I appreciate it greatly.
Me too.
I do
Salty.
too. I
Me
do
too.
too. I do too.
Yeah, it's probably Moore's best Bond.
I agree.
Like, not maybe when others might disagree, he made better Bond movies, but his best Bond portrayal, I think, was in
Performance.
that movie. Yeah.
I agree. As a kid, I just thought it was slow and stupid. And having rewatched that, we talked about it last week with Roger Moore, how I couldn't stand him as a kid. And now going back and watching him in context, I think he's great. I think he's great.
Yeah, he really did. He was brave enough to do his own thing with it. And I think in For Your Eyes Only, he gave his most confident performance in the role and his hardest performance. Like, he was quite vicious in a lot of it, you know, in a way that he isn't in some of the other ones. But I know I'm talking a lot about Roger Moore's because I do think Sean is the archetypal best Bond, but Roger did have a couple of my favorite movies there, you know. He also had a couple of clunkers, but you know.
It was the stories, it was the scripts. I mean, and that's where I think that's what made Roger Moore a better Bond and why it was uneven. You know, like Live and Let Die has a great story. I think The Man with the Golden Gun, I think the scene at the end with the funhouse mirror, weird 70s acid thing is a little long, but it's still
it's never been one of my favorites. That, to be honest.
It doesn't feel like a Bond movie. That one, it's weird.
It's a bit, I think I found that one very anticlimactic. Okay, the guy's got a big laser. Whoop de doo, you know.
Oh yeah, right.
He does have 3 nipples, of course, which is
Scaramanga.
An extraneous nipple.
That's right. What use is that? I mean, come on.
You know who doesn't have 3 nipples is that hot chick in the bikini with Roger with the Sean Connery. Although we could take that top off. Maybe she does.
Look at him. He looks
talking
so
about
good.
Scaramanga. Christopher Lee was an actual real James Bond.
Well, he knew he was a friend of Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he was related. I think he was related to Ian.
Oh yeah,
Fleming.
he might have been. Yeah,
Like a cousin.
second cousin or cousin or something.
Yeah.
Because they were both OSS guys as well. They were both OSS.
Was that gentleman of? No, they were. What was the unit called? They were not gentlemen. They were disingenuous gentlemen or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Which movie are we?
No, that's what he was in World War II.
They were both British Secret Service guys, OSS. Secret Service. They were actually Nazi hunter type guys. So real life kick-ass guys. I've always Christopher Lee
slitting a lot of throats and taking a lot of SS out.
Yeah,
and
Christopher Lee is like, you know, with Peter Jackson during, you know, making Return of the King. He's Peter Jackson's like, can you pretend to be stabbed? He's like,
I don't have to pretend. I know what I'm doing.
Dempsey's right. Christopher Lee's metal albums were brilliant.
Absolutely.
Dude, that guy was a Nazi hunter, Dracula, Gandalf. Sauron.
He was Gandalf though in the audiobooks. Yeah.
And his crowning achievement, Mr. Midnight in Return of Captain Invincible.
Absolutely fantastic 70s. I'm glad you got that in.
Yeah, Christopher Lee actually met Professor Tolkien too. He actually met Professor Tolkien.
Yes.
I think Tolkien promised that if he had made, you know, a movie, I think he would be Gandalf.
Because he did the radio play Christmas time. Yeah, he was a badass all around.
Yep.
The Wicker
What do you
Man.
think of this guys'
Man,
comment from Casey Charlie Chats?
movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Sean was a tough guy that could be funny. Roger was a funny guy that could be tough.
Yeah, that's
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant
yeah.
observation.
Absolutely.
Cobra brings up Never Say Never Again.
It's terrible.
It's basically a remake of Thunderball.
Because Kevin McClory had the rights to that, and it's the only one he had the rights to, so he was damn well going to make it as often as he could.
Wasn't that the movie that the studio then said, okay, we own all of James Bond now?
Yeah.
Because they did that one movie that was like Bond, and there was I remember there's a big thing in the court for years about who owned Bond because of one of these movies.
It was
Never Say
the
Never.
Thunderball, because the rights had been sold to Kevin McClory before they made the Doctor No. Even for some reason the rights had been sold to him, and it was a big struggle between him and the Broccolis to get it back and all that. And, eventually I think they came to some kind of settlement after Never Say Never Again.
Yeah.
I think somebody out there is still talking about making yet another version of that, but I don't think it'll happen.
I agree. And then look at, all this was part of the MGM catalog. of course, MGM was acquired by Amazon. I would safely say that we can expect more James Bond, probably on streaming, probably of the same quality, of the same quality as The Wheel of Time and Rings
You
of
know
Power.
that you know that Sean Connery's brother made a couple of cheapo Italian movies as a James Bond type character.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh,
his
God.
brother made a couple of movies in Italy. It's hilarious if you ever see clips of them.
It's
He's a bit
Esteban
more
Bond.
Scottish in them, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I can't remember his name, but his brother was
Neil Connery.
Neil, yeah, and he made a couple of Italian Bond knockoffs. It was quite funny.
Were they pornos, or was this an
No,
actual movie?
that would have made them good, but
I had to ask.
I don't think Sean was very impressed. Let's put it that way.
Guys, bring it back to the movie. I want to just get your opinion on this. You know, the humour which comes into it a lot later on, it kind of gets a bit campy, a bit over the top, but there is humour in this. There are some great one-liners, like Nerdporeal was talking about before. What do you think? Did they get a good balance of like serious and, you know, with a little bit of comedy?
I think so. I definitely think so.
I think in the early ones, yeah. He had a one-liner quip when he killed somebody, or I think they're on the way to a funeral, you know, or
it's just right, you know, and especially with all the Bond women, especially the women that are trying to kill him, some of the quippy things that he says. I think those are perfect. They're not over the top, but it's not Roger Moore 70s saccharine. It's not total cheese.
Yeah, Roger Moore really hammed it up on those little.
Yeah. But I mean, I think for most of Sean Connery's run, I think he nailed it perfectly. You know, does it get a little over the top in Goldfinger? Yeah, but at the same point, I think the character had evolved to a point where you kind of wanted him to do that because you wanted Bond to kind of go to the next level, you know?
My name is Pussy Galore. Oh, I must be dreaming.
Yeah, it must be dreaming. I don't think they had quite nailed the formula. It was the first one out. I think they took them 3 or 4 movies to really get the exact.
It's pretty
mix.
serious, isn't it? It's very serious. The first one.
I mentioned this before in the green room that, you know, when you like the very first James Bond or the first season of Star Trek, you know, the rules are not made yet. You know, you see it fresh, and then you see as it evolves. So, I really like seeing like the first James Bond movie when they do the martini, shaken not stirred, and the name introduction, and you know some of the humor that you see later. You know, it's really great to see it in, you know, its raw original form.
Yeah, and they were still trying to get the use of the music right, and having they had sometimes they had songs at either end, sometimes just at the beginning, and they were just I think it was like by Goldfinger they'd kind of figured it out, and this is the formula, and we're just going to hit that formula now every time.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, I think also with this movie, you saw them start to play with perspective and how big they wanted to make the scenes, like where they were. And like we talked about, they're in the Caribbean. So the star of this movie in a lot of ways is the Caribbean itself, is Jamaica, is the ocean, is that blue sky.
Gorgeous setting.
It's freaking gorgeous. And like we talked about, these movies were travelogues in a lot of ways because people weren't flying all over the place. Like, you know, they started kind of doing in the 80s a little bit, but I remember watching this as a kid in a small mill town, you know, and I said it before, there was no way I was ever going to go to a place like this. You know, I watched this movie and watched James Bond go and meet these fabulously hot chicks in these beautiful locations and get in adventures. It was, to me, the definition of escape. Like these movies were just perfect escape. And then there were some jokes and there were boobs. This is great. And there's guns too, you know?
Yeah, and an evil villain. Everyone loves an evil villain.
I was going to ask you guys what you thought about Dr. No in the lexicon of Bond villains. Like,
yeah, I mean, it certainly, you got to hand it to him.
I get it.
Jesus.
I prefer the version of him they spoofed in A Fistful of Yen, where the guy could unscrew his hand and put on all the attachments. It's not. Again, they were feeling their way with this. You know, they didn't. He wasn't quite as flamboyant, I think, as some of the later ones. You know, he's a bit more dry.
A fistful of
So-
hands. You mean Enter the Dragon?
A fistful of yen
Fistful of yen.
in
Oh.
the Kentucky Fried Movie. Have you never seen that?
No, I don't think I have.
Fistful
no.
of yen. He's got the villain's got fake hands.
But he
like that,
has-
you know,
and
but he puts us like a dildo on it.
The Bruce Lee movie, the Bruce Lee movie stole this too. Enter the Dragon stole this idea too.
Yeah,
with
but
Mr. Han.
Yeah, fistful of yen that takes it to its ultimate limits.
But he has the villain layer. He has
Yes.
a little island with all his,
I want
his
to.
paintings and
I want to live there. I want to
all
live
that-
there.
Yeah, I think maybe the actor's a little bit dull. I don't know. I mean,
well,
maybe
he's like
unfair.
Asian but not. It's
Yeah.
racist as hell, but whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
it
is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yellow face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this
Copa
scene-
says this is a boring movie. That's his hot take.
yeah.
Ooh,
Who says that?
Copa.
take from Copa.
I disagree. I enjoyed it, but
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great movie, and I think going back through the totality of Sean Connery's run, I think I like this movie. Isn't as fast as some of the other ones. It's more of a kind of a slow
Yes.
burn type of a thing.
Dr. Claw.
And I don't know. I liked it. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's the way the novel was written. It was a methodic, you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, kind of a whodunit of a type of movie. But if you can go back to that picture, Gray, there's a reason why I put it up there. So there's a painting that's in this scene, and that is the Duke of Wellington.
Oh
Okay?
yeah.
And this is allegedly done by Goya, the painter Goya. The reason why it was put into this movie so prominently is it's an inside joke from 1961. This painting was actually done by the art director for the film, because that painting, which he tried to copy from pictures, was stolen out of the National Gallery in the UK and was missing
Very
at
good.
the
I remember that.
time- at the time this movie was shot. So they put it in there as a little tongue-in-cheek because
No
nobody
way.
could find this famous
awesome.
Goya painting.
Do you know
And
who stole it?
it was a truck driver, if I remember.
He was like an old
correctly.
postal worker.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
an inside joke, and none of us would know that. Like I know that because I looked it up. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is this? So that's why it's in the movie.
Yeah, that
in
guy
Dr.
stole-
That's why he's looking at it like that. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the guy
just-
hid it in his garage for like 30 years. They find.
Why did he steal such a shitty painting? Couldn't he steal? Couldn't Doctor No steal something a bit more appealing? You know.
Yeah,
true.
Pace is not. Yeah.
See, it shows his B level, B movie level
It's
super
true.
villain.
Well,
He's
he
in the
ripped
B
off
level.
the
Low
songs.
tier.
He ripped off like the Asian heroin gangs. This guy does not have a long life expectancy. I don't give a shit if you're on an island. They're gonna find you. And
Yeah,
they're gonna rip
yeah.
every body part off of you. You know. So yeah,
Good to see you, red shirt. Nice to see
just
you.
another red shirt.
Surprised you didn't see like a Velvet Elvis or a Velvet Grim Reaper painting there too. Just
Something else I find interesting about this and other early Bond movies is their choice of what the evil villain is trying to do. Usually it involves something which we see as quaint now, like firing a very powerful radio beam to disrupt a rocket launch, you know, or something equally like
Space
really?
laser.
Yeah, space
laser.
laser, or I'm going to steal one nuclear weapon or something. Or
I like the
like-
spaceship that's like a rocket Pac-Man that's going to
Yeah.
take the space capsule and like I thought. that
Yeah,
was-
you only live twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
they do reflect the things of their era, like obviously the space program and other such. Lasers were new, and now we'd have much more. Our villains would have much more ambitious things, like reversing time and the universe, or whatever,
Poisoning, poisoning the population.
yeah. But
something.
then it was
yeah.
like
The diaper of destiny.
I'm
Yeah.
going to fire a really powerful radio beam and disrupt that rocket launch. What a
Yeah.
villain I am!
and I'm not communist or capitalist. I'm Spectre.
Spectre.
That's right. And Smirsh, there was Smirsh and Spectre, and
Yeah.
does anybody remember what Spectre stood for? I remember
Yeah,
part of it.
it's a special executive for what is it, counterintelligence,
Revenge,
extortion,
extortion, and-
terrorism, revenge, and extortion. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
What was the P for?
Special SP special.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I couldn't
Especially,
forget,
yeah.
SPECTRE. It's quite a clever name though. If you think about it, SPECTRE, and of course that's been endlessly spoofed in movies.
Yeah, and what's
yeah.
funny is I
yeah.
think Spectre was created for Thunderball, for the original novel of Thunderball, or the original idea of Thunderball, because originally the villains were Smersh. Smersh was the original villain in Casino Royale, Live and Let Die. I think even Dr. No and had connections to Smersh, and obviously from Russia with Love, Smersh was the villain.
Yeah.
And they didn't want, because Smersh was a real organization in the Soviet Union. They only mentioned Smersh. Smersh were not the villains. They made Spectre the villains.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been more like Smoosh than Smersh, I think, for Bond, because of the women he was sleeping with.
Smash.
Smash.
Boobs in his face. Booms in his face.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you
right
remember-
around. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Tatiana.
So
Tatiana.
The for your eyes only, in the very beginning, he kills off the guy who they don't call him Blofeld, but you know who he is.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
reason why is they were sick of that whole thing, and there was a fight over who owned it. And I'm like, okay, you can keep him. We'll just fucking kill him off.
Yeah,
by
you'll never
dropping
see
him.
the back of his head. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's- yeah.
And then down the chimney, and that's it. You never see him until the Daniel Craig finally brings that whole thing.
Yeah, and what a disappointment I felt that was. I mean, the was it Quantum of Solace that he brings
Never saw it.
which is the one he brings Christoph Waltz in as his
Spectre.
The Blofeld.
It's like it was very anticlimactic. I felt it just didn't have,
And then
for
the
whatever
way
reason, it didn't have any impact.
And then the way they killed him in what was the last one called again? No Time to Die.
Yeah, just like
Yeah, I never saw it.
No Time to Die. It. Yeah.
So we
Time to
can look at some of the motivations of these bad guys from these films from the 60s. They seem kind of small and weird and arcane.
I won
But-
$1 billion.
But the stuff with the rockets was actually topical because the Cuban Missile Crisis
Yeah, that's right.
happened
That-
around the
yeah,
same
that-
time,
yeah.
which was that,
And the moon
pretty
race.
damn close to. None of us would be here probably right now because that would have been at the time a pretty large scale nuclear war between the Soviet Union and the United States, because the Soviet Union had put nuclear missiles 90 miles off the coast of the United States, and there's absolutely no way that they could have protected themselves.
Don't you hold
I mean,
your
unlike
breath,
what's
buddy.
going on with China now.
It may happen yet. Don't hold
Oh,
your
it
breath.
will. Don't worry.
Yeah,
No,
we're not
Joey
done
B. Joey B. needs that to happen.
It's
so that
coming.
We don't
Nah,
have
it's
something
coming.
happen next year. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I don't know. But yeah, it was the concerns
Joey B.
obviously were the concerns were obviously the concerns of that time, but it just seems a little bit quaint in some respects. I'm going to fire a laser at a rocket. You know, is that
Well,
the best you can do?
Yeah, right. And in '63, we hadn't been on the moon yet. You know, there's still
No.
the Gemini.
Sputnik had sent the
Well,
world crazy in
that's what they say,
'57.
Blair. That's-
No, okay.
We'll find out.
There's
I'm
been a
not
Chinese
entirely
base on the dark side of the moon for 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. But yeah, so I mean, there was a couple of interesting. I mean, the music in this is interesting because it wasn't really scored as heavily as some future ones, but you had the sort of calypso band in it.
Yeah.
Under the mango
kind of-
tree.
Yeah, well, there was
The
an actual
song.
band in the night. Is it a nightclub he goes to, or
Mm-hmm.
and they were actually a real band, apparently, and they were kind of it's not reggae. What do they call it? Ska. So it was that stuff was actually becoming quite popular in Britain because of the big Jamaican influence. So that actually spawned a lot of interest in that music going forward, and certain ska bands. They didn't call it ska then as such. It was more blue beat and things like that. They became quite popular in the '60s on that sound. Even the Beatles had a couple of touches of that sound in some of their songs. So that was quite influential.
Now wait a minute. You know, the Beatles and James Bond. You know, like the Beatles are like what was it, like champagne that's been left out of the unchilled in the refrigerator, and got to put on the earmuffs or something. I think that's what Connery said. and
Yeah,
Goldfinger.
he wasn't a fan of pop music.
It's
let's
like
put it that way.
it's like listening like unchilled champagne. It's like listening to the Beatles without Earmuffs on.
Yeah.
But that's why it's hilarious when obviously Paul McCartney does "Live and Let Die."
Mhm.
It's a shame Connery wasn't in that movie. That would have been suck it, Sean.
And it's not for this street, but it's interesting to look at how many popular movies from '62 when this movie was released were musical movies.
Oh, yeah.
Music.
Oh yeah, that
movies.
was still a thing back then.
And so what I'm wondering is because the audience, the movie going audience wanted some of that more family friendly, like, you know, like the Music Man music. That's why they went with the Calypso, Three Blind Mice, because it would have been exotic to hear this ska or proto reggae.
It was,
you know, so.
And it did spawn an awful lot of interest in that music in Britain, particularly, and because there was always a lot of Jamaican connection, a lot of Jamaican guys living in Britain, and that music became really very popular right up to, well, as I say, the Beatles had a couple of tracks on their earlier albums that kind of slipped into a cod ska, and then of course later on they had Obla Di Obla Da and stuff like that. It was directly influenced by stuff like that, so it was quite a prescient thing to have that in this movie. I'm not sure they ever, in Bond movies, they really did a lot of that later. They were scored.
Yeah. Like you say, they, you know, like you said, is the music and stuff is what kind of disjointed, because later, you have the Bond theme, and it's more
them all. Was there a band even playing, and were there bands ever playing in other Bond movies? Because that was a real band.
And From Russia with Love, they went to the Turkish the
Gypsy camp.
Gypsy camp. They were playing music there.
Those chicks were hot. Those chicks were
sizzling gypsies. That's what they want.
And then they went to the he went to the mosque. You heard mosque music. You know,
I don't know if I'm getting
mosque music. Yes.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know.
I think it's great. I'm gonna call it mosque music. That's what I'm gonna. I love it.
Copa makes a good point that all the James Bond ingredients were in this movie. It's just it wasn't mixed well, and as you saw later, it all kind of baked in
that
and
bitch off the screen.
I know, but 70s. Have you seen this, by the way? Documentary. It's the sound of 007. It's pretty good. It doesn't cover them all, but it does go, to some of the really early ones as well. It's Shirley Bassey, by the way, guys. Shirley Bassey. It's not Shirley Bassey. I meant to say last week. Shirley Bassey from Wales. She was Welsh.
She's Welsh.
So she did Goldfinger, and then she did Diamonds Are Forever, right?
Diamonds Are Forever.
She did.
Did Tom Jones do Thunderball?
Yeah, he did. I think Shirley Bassey ended up doing 3, and I can't remember what the third one was.
It was
Man with the Golden Gun.
Was it Moonraker or something?
Moonraker.
And
she won't.
No, I thought she did Man with the Golden Gun. The man.
No, that's Lulu.
No, that's Lulu, little Scottish girl.
Scottish Lulu.
Okay.
Scottish. I don't know if we might be able to play this because it's not.
Shut the hell.
This is
Free market economy, I swear it will be the
Hang on, I gotta get to the music. Here we go.
Yeah, I talked about this last week.
This is a great.
There she is.
Oh my
She's
God!
Welsh too, I think. Mini Driver.
Yeah. I wanted her to be my future ex-wife in the 90s.
I'll get to stop it, but just in case you get any.
There we go.
Copyright
Mini
problems,
Driver, Salty. You got a bit of a thing for her, yeah? Well, you used to.
I have a big, awful big thing for her, Ray. All right, just to be clear.
Oh, ladies.
Yeah, Shirley Bassey did 3. I actually did a whole live stream about Bond themes way back a couple of years ago now, one of my Monday shows, and it was quite good fun. But I didn't like that. There was bits of that documentary you showed, Gray, I didn't like because it focused an awful lot on the current ones.
I know.
Which
me
are
too.
to me as dull as fucking ditch water.
Absolutely.
I agree.
The last decent one was Casino Royale with
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell. That was the last decent one.
I love that. I try and do that in karaoke, but I can't hit the high notes.
Oh, that's a great.
I can't scream it, Salty. I can't scream it.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets about From Russia with Love. It's Matt Monroe who sings that song.
That's right.
It's a ballad. It's beautiful.
That's because I've got that, and I was talking about it with Gray. I've got that James Bond, like all the themes on one album, And so I was listening to it driving like out in the middle of nowhere, running through all of them, and that came on, and I had to look up who the hell sings this, because for the longest time I thought it was Tom Jones, and it wasn't. But I think that is a really, really overlooked theme, because that is such a just fucking great.
It's gorgeous.
I think there might be a reason for that. See, in the beginning of From Russia with Love, you hear a instrumental version of it during the opening credits. You don't hear the actual song till the end, when they're sailing
in
away
the gondola.
That's right, at the end. Yeah. Some of them were like that. There was at least one movie had two songs. I think it was on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Had one at the beginning, but then it had the Louis Armstrong at the end.
I love that.
All the time. We have all the time in the world.
Which is a beautiful song.
If they ever make a proper Bond again, I want that Louis Armstrong song to be remastered and be made the theme of that movie, because that is a great song. It is an exceptionally good song. So,
yeah, I mean, it was interesting talking about them. We went through all of them on this show. I did, and we all ranked our best and least favorites. I think I said, what was it? I said my least favorite was All Time High. It's an all.
Really?
Rita Coolidge.
Even
I do not like
Sheryl
that
Crow and all those other people.
Sheryl Crow was in the bottom 5, but Rita Coolidge was
no, stop, all of you, stop. Sam Smith. Oh my god.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about Sam Smith, because
I hate that so much. It's awful.
Where is Sheena Easton rank?
My bottom. No, she's quite up there.
She's high middle.
It wasn't 9 to 5 or You've Got the Look, but it was okay, you know.
Sorry.
But in my bottom 5 were No Time to Die, Writings on the Wall, Rita Coolidge, Sheryl Crow, and I think Goldeneye might have been the other one, Tina Turner. I don't like that one much.
I'm going to have to strenuously disagree, and I don't think this has ever really happened with U70s, because I think the saxophone in that Rita Coolidge song is worth it. I think that 70s orchestral saccharine, I think it's perfect for the movie. Do I listen to that song all the time? No, but I think it's great for the movie. But
Live and Let Die was the best one.
It's certainly near the top.
70s, what do you think about Live and Let Die? Yeah, he said this in the documentary. I never even thought about it, but they were kind of taking the mickey out of it, because he say Paul McCartney tried to go a bit reggae in the middle when it goes like, what does it matter to you?
It was reggae.
Part. I never thought about that before.
Because it was
kind of a bit of a reggae beat to it.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like it though. I
love remember what I said my favourite was then. I had to take a top 5. It might have been Live and Let Die might have been at the top.
It's
These
up there.
Things change.
It's a good choice.
Yeah,
what about Guns N' Roses cover of it? What do you think of that?
Oh, I love it.
I got to see that live.
And then I think
nice.
Cool. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of some of the other ones that might have said were my favourites. Well, View to Kill was one of them.
Yeah.
I do love A View to Kill. Nobody Does It Better is actually a great song.
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we have all the time in the world, and I think Goldfinger is the archetypal Bond theme with the horns and all that, and Shirley Bassey.
The horns
singing.
are great in it. Yeah, I don't know Shirley Bassey though. Sometimes I get the feeling she's screaming, shouting.
Thing that
it's just big brass. I mean, and I've got a remaster of that where you can hear all of the different instruments. You know,
I love big breasts. So.
Big breasts.
Yeah, goodie bag.
So yeah, John Barry was a masterful orchestrator. That's why.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever heard some of his variations on the Bond theme? Though there's a kind of a lounge jazz version, and there's all sorts of different ones. Some of them are pretty cool.
Were they in any of the other movies?
No, I think he just did them as just for fun, you know.
Yeah.
Or album filler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they get a lot of that.
Yeah. But I like there's a kind of a swinging jazz one with girl singers going, ooh, you know, that's. So
I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Go ahead, Salty. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what did you guys think about not seeing the Bond villain into the last 20, 25 minutes of the movie? You don't see this guy. You don't see Dr. No.
You hear him. You hear him in that great scene with Professor Dent, and he gives Professor Dent the spider and all that.
really holds up the air of mystery of this genius person.
And I don't know if they've reused. I don't think they've reused that trope before, but I think it was great, and I think it again shows that this particular Ian Fleming novel really was a whodunit in showing the detective work of Bond trying to like be a spy and infiltrate.
I mean,
very much so.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the movie starts with the ketchup on Strangway's shirt, and he gets taken away.
The ketchup.
And we have to find out why the ketchup got onto his shirt and why he just disappeared or why he was taken.
Was it ketchup though, or was it some substitute for ketchup, or some cheaper version of some condiment that was?
Okay, it was Heinz. It was Heinz.
It was a Heinz. So it was definitely Heinz. Then you're saying?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Josh.
Salty about the villain. You're absolutely right, and I think that they let the kind of the plot build him up. You know, he's build up the whole time, and when you actually get to see him, it's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? It's kind of but I love that. I think it's so good. Don't reveal the villain, till near the end.
And I that's what I liked about this, and I think it worked for the time. I mean, obviously I wasn't alive in 1962. I was yet to be born. There were 8 years going, but I think for the time and the type of movies that they were doing, especially from an espionage standpoint, I think it made sense, and I think it was something new too that they were seeing, because there were a lot of World War II movies that came out around that time. It was getting on 15-20 years since the VJ Day, and and I mean, look at the year before, 62, The Longest Day came out.
Sean Connery.
With Sean Connery in there, and so it's just, I think again, a lot of these things, they weren't tropes yet. These guys were making it up as they went along.
Exactly.
And I think that was part of it too. I wish they would do that with Bond villain more, where Bond is getting his ass handed to him and losing everything, and you don't know what the hell is going on. And then to have like that last 20 minutes of something where essentially you're put like a rat through a maze through some sociopath's test, just because he wants to watch you suffer and die with no hope of escape. I think that is something they should reuse in a future Bond movie, that has an actual heterosexual man playing the role. Just want to say that.
You think it's a little creepy when he came to visit James Bond when he was unconscious? Kind of like a little pervy there. But I liked. So how do you rank his death and all the other Bond villain deaths? He's basically submerged in superheated nuclear water.
He dies in a heated hot tub, basically.
He's in a plastic suit. He's like, what do they call it?
But it's radioactive.
This is
it's a deep fryer. He went in a radioactive deep fryer.
Why was that hot tub radioactive? What was the purpose of that?
That's what the nuclear reactor was in it, wasn't it? That's what powered the little radio beam.
It was the coolant. Yeah, it was the coolant.
It just happened to be accessible, so you could fall in it at any time. Of course,
no guardrails.
Yeah.
Let's put the big giant pool of nuclear shit right in front of everybody. Come on.
Right.
Lots of OSHA violations. Lots of OSHA violations.
It was an aesthetic choice.
Well, if you're a supervillain, he didn't. I mean, there was a few of them died in sort of similar circumstances. Like, wasn't one of them? In Live and Let Die, wasn't Yaphet Kotto blown up in a pool? He started in a pool.
That was awesome.
He exploded up and went to the top of the cave. One guy
he
got
inflated, and he like a
face.
huge balloon. Yeah,
it's interesting that when you look at this, if you see the difference between this and maybe let's go forward to You Only Live Twice. This is a low-budget movie using a lot of small sets. There's no Bond car and no whatever. There's lots of things missing. Then you go to You Only Live Twice, an enormous set with hundreds of extras parachuting in and blowing
tons
up submarines and tons of helicopters and whatever.
And Little Nelly.
Little Nelly.
The difference is incredible. Dr. No can't compete as a spectacle with those.
Yeah.
No.
So everything's on a smaller scale.
All of those gadgets, though, at the time were truly amazing. I mean, it was truly amazing to see these things. Now I think we're jaded with our smartphones and all this other bullshit that, like we've seen it all on the other side of this, 60 years later. But every time those movies came out, I remember watching them as a kid in the 70s and 80s. I mean, Little Nelly, the dude has a helicopter in his luggage. Okay. I think that's pretty cool, you know?
Mhm.
And then the watch, you know, the Rolex with the laser or whatever the hell he's got.
Yeah.
Or even that briefcase that has the 50 gold sovereigns and the stiletto blade, and then the built-in bomb if you open it up wrong with the catches, and you know, just like no one had done that before.
I distinctly recall seeing this on television for the first time, and it must have been about maybe 68, 69, and it was maybe 6 or something. I was 6 when I saw it, and thinking, my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I felt that same way in the 70s when I was the same age. I was like, wait a minute, look at this guy. He's got a garrote in his Rolex, and he's like, and then or he swims it, you know, like when he is in that the scuba suit and blows up the poppy heroin operation in the fake oil tanks, and you know, like clicks his watch to blow it up. I'm like, that was the coolest thing ever.
And he's and everybody's reacting, like everybody's screaming, getting the hell out of there. He's just standing there smoking and just chill. That's
or you have an odd job with his hat that, like, you know, it's like a flying guillotine thing, you know.
Oh yeah, these were the coolest things ever.
Yeah. They were exciting. It was exciting watching them.
Bond was getting his butt kicked by Oddjob in the vault.
Oh yeah.
He couldn't beat him physically. He had to
random task.
He had to fry him. He had to fry him with the hats.
So guys, how popular were these over in the States? The movies, did they show them a lot on TV when you were growing up?
Oh yeah. All the time.
God, and it was a big deal. This would be the big Saturday night movie. On ABC, and they would show it a lot here in the States.
In the 70s.
And I remember, like, and this is back when you had TV Guide, because you had like 4 channels, you know, at least where I was, and you know, that would it was part of what was a shared cultural experience, you know, like when those movies, like when Star Wars came on or a James Bond movie, dude, everybody at school was talking about it, and everybody, you play football, you go do sports, you do all your chores, and then you park your ass in front of that big wooden console TV in the living room with the shag carpet, you know, and then
Shag by name, shag by nature.
Yeah, and then when the commercials happened, you lined up with your brother to pee, you know, and because you want to race back because you don't want to miss the movie, because there were no VCRs.
Yeah, it was
couldn't pause anything.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Experience, shared cultural experience, exactly. And you had to wait 2 years to see it on television. At least 2 years.
At least.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because movies went round and round lots of times.
Indiana Jones stayed in my theater for 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. And then it didn't come out on VHS for maybe more than a year later. You know?
I'm clearly the baby of this panel right now.
You have no idea what we're talking about.
I wasn't even.
You're probably younger than my son, but never mind.
Nerdporeal, when did you first see it? Do you remember?
Dr. No?
Dr. No, yeah.
Probably, I think I saw when I was a freshman in high school, so probably around 99, 2000. And then I saw the rest of the movies, I think sophomore year. Then I played the N64 game GoldenEye at the same time.
So good.
Dude. That was the perfect game to play while I was getting into
one of the best games ever. Yeah.
Yes, and I love that game's version of the
and no.
And GoldenEye, of course, the movie where Sean Bean dies. But then that's not unusual. So Sean Bean dying. Sean Bean always dies.
Sean Bean dies like I think 26, 27 times.
Did that start the trend? That movie 70s? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Was he always dying?
He died before then. Certainly, he died pretty obviously in that one. Twice he died twice in it.
Oh, that's right.
You only die twice.
He died in
that movie.
Yeah.
He died in 93 at Harrison Ford's hands in Clear and Present Danger.
That's true.
So that was
Patriot Games.
Patriot Games.
Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. He died at the
I wonder if his agent did that just to be a dick, just find all these roles just so that he could die.
Look at Josh McDonald. Yeah, when you're taking your pee break and they're yelling, "It's back on!" Yeah, it's true. That's what would happen.
There's a suspicious trail of urine coming out.
Yes. Well, you're trying not to zip your junk up like something about married and like run in there and not trip over.
Jesus.
And always
Painful.
your brother was an asshole and left like a big glass of soda in the middle of the carpet, so you kick it across the carpet and then your dad comes in and beats the shit out of you and miss half the movie. But this was real.
It's a random occurrence there, Softy.
It wasn't random in my house. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, TBS used to have like a marathon where they'd play them like all
every
day
holiday.
on a
Every
holiday.
holiday. Christmas and Thanksgiving.
We used to get them at Christmas, like New Year, the
Yeah,
holidays. We used to look
Christmas
forward
was
to it.
And
Yeah.
they would trail it for weeks.
Yes, they would.
Coming
Yeah.
on Christmas Day, the premier television
And
showing
you
of
watched
Living
it.
Like Die or whatever,
It
Yeah.
saved you from your relatives and having
That's
it
right.
did.
Saved you from fights, family fights.
Yeah.
I gotta just hang on. I got a clip here. It's not Bond, but it was something we were talking about. This is a fistful of yen.
Take him to Detroit.
I haven't seen this movie in years. I haven't seen
Well,
this
because
in
it's
years.
only a 15-minute clip within the movie Kentucky Fried Movie, but it's the best 15 minutes movie you'll ever see.
I gotta get
I
that.
played that
I
for
have not
Darius. I
watched
played
this in
that for
years.
Darius, who's in the chat. Yeah,
Okay, nice
Kentucky
one.
Fried Movie is got George Lazenby's in it because there's a
That
Bond
whole-
spoof trailer, a Bond spoof in it.
That whole movie, I think we should watch for your live stream, Gray, and then because I think it would be incredible to talk about that. I haven't seen
High
it in
School
years.
Girls
I
in
haven't-
Trouble. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Steven Spielberg's in that clip. Catholic High School Girls in Trouble. Show me your nuts. She goes, show me your nuts. He goes,
Remember Hardcore TV? That came
oh, yeah. I remember that.
Ooh, yeah, it was one of those movies that came out at that time where it was like a spoof. And they
I
had all
remember
these
that.
kind of stupid little make-believe movies and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's just
little
hilarious.
trailers, spoof trailers, and make believe.
Yeah.
Well, SCTV had loads of spoof
Oh,
movie
yeah.
stuff. They were, and some of it was so obscure that nobody got the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, "What was that 3 minutes all about?" Because they were spoofing some 1940s movie no one had ever heard of.
Mhm.
So like basically sticking it to the audience. Yeah, but yeah, Fistful of Yen. I do love that.
Okay, guys. Before we wrap things up, just thinking, do you want to give a score for this Dr. No, the first James Bond movie, 1962? What would you rate it out of 10? Salty. Start with you.
I'm gonna go with an 8.5. Because I'm putting it in comparison to the other Connery Bond films.
Yeah.
I think for a first movie that launched a franchise, this is a 10. It's a 10. I think this movie may have some pacing issues and a little bit, but there's nothing. It's just the only reason I don't rate it a 9 is because I think when you put it to the subsequent Bond movies, I think invariably I have to be honest about the totality and the body of work of those movies. But I'd say this is an 8.5 if I'm being super critical. Otherwise, a 9.
Okay, nice one. Nerdporeal, how about you?
Well, the movie by itself, like as a first Bond movie, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. Like the movie is phenomenal from start to finish. I loved the use of music. I loved how it was unique compared to the other Bond films. Like especially the beginning where you see the gun scope, the target, the crosshair, and all that. They played it. They played a different. They played like a different little musical theme instead of the Bond theme. And it was different. It was just weird and different, but like it was who is this Dr. No? Who are the you have to you're Bond's trying to solve a murder, kind of, and comes across and I just love the way Dr. No was built up. But like Salty said, and I agree with him. I would give this a lower score if you're going to compare it to the other Sean Connery films, which are all, I think almost all of them are stellar in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would probably 9.5 by itself, 8.5 with comparing to the other Bond movies. So that's my take. Insane film, awesome, love it.
Just Another Red Shirt is right. It's the prototype of the Bond franchise. It doesn't have all the Bond music. It's this is it. This is the comment. Bond doesn't have the cool car. It's true. It's true. And it really was more of a detective story in a lot of ways. Like he was doing that field agent work.
Yeah, like the thing with the hair.
Boobs.
He would put things on his to see if somebody had opened up his briefcase.
Yeah,
or he put
in
hair
his
over
room.
his thing to see if somebody had opened. So he knew that somebody had already come in and checked him out. So, yeah.
How about you,
did
Blair?
Kill a tarantula with a slipper. Okay.
See, he should have
There
killed
was
the
music to
tarantula.
that as well.
I would have emptied a clip in the damn thing. That would have been like, bam, 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 bam.
Salty, that would have been better if he'd killed the tarantula with a Bond girl. That would have been even
Oh,
better.
yeah.
If he'd
like-
hit the tarantula with a Bond girl, that would have been
Threw the
perfect.
girl on top.
and then
of
made a quip, and she still wanted to have sex with him. That would have been epic. Yeah.
I give
Blair,
it an 8.
go for it. 8 for you, yeah. 8 out of 10 from Blair. Okay.
Really enjoyed. I think it should be seen. Yeah, it's the prototype James Bond. All the ingredients are there. They're not quite mixed in yet, but it's a good, solid movie for its time. Really enjoyed it. Hello, Courtney.
Good to see you, Courtney. And
Hey,
Zaxx,
what's up,
get in here. You've got the link. You can give a score without watching it. But I'm sure you've seen it before, mate. 70s, get on to you.
Oh, I
grew
think
up
these guys have said
near
just about
Sean
everything
Connery.
that I would have said. It's
Bring
hard.
your Scottish perspective on this. Come on, dude.
Well, it's
Bring,
always great to see Big Tom in a movie,
Without a
Of
regard.
course.
Absolutely.
And I do know people who know him. I knew one of my friends, his father worked with him when he worked at a newspaper business in Edinburgh, so he had a lot of tales to tell about him. It's hard to judge it. Would you judge it as a Bond movie? Do you judge it as a movie? Do you judge it as a first Bond movie? And then I have to say, given it's the prototype, as has been mentioned, it's for me, it's for that reason, it's probably worth a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
It may be a lot less if it wasn't that, if it was just in the middle of the pack Bond movie, but the fact it was the first and it set the tone for much of what was to come, and 2 reasons in particular: that opening
Yes.
with the cigarette, and then James Bond, which is one of the coolest
Yes.
20
So
seconds
good.
in history, and then the Ursula Andress coming out of the sea, again, super cool, super memorable. For those reasons alone, and the fact that Sean Connery is magnificent, I'll give it 9 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
good stuff.
Absolutely. It's great
Yeah.
points by all of you. It's to say, as a Bond movie, it's the first one, so it is kind of fresh and new, and it doesn't have all the tropes yet. But I'm giving it 9 out of 10 as a movie anyway, as a really good spy kind of thriller, murder mystery. Lots of detective in there, detective work. But the location of Jamaica was so good, and at the time it must have been, really new to see that on the big screen. Lovely music. What a fantastic, Bond theme. When you hear that guitar, like whacking that out, it's unbelievable. So 9 out of 10 for me. Awesome. I'm just going to go mute now, guys, because Mrs. Wakizashi just come in. So take it
She
away,
just heard you
Salty.
say whacking it out.
I
She
know. Why are you
So-
talking to those guys who always talk about chicks' boobs and all the
She's
movies?
shaking her head like
So-
looking at me. What are you doing, Gray?
Yeah.
So how does it, for you guys, it's the first of a franchise. Actually, to be strictly speaking, it's the first Bond movie. There had been an earlier television and adaptation, US television adaptation, which I have no knowledge of personally. How, as a first in a franchise, how does it stand up against other firsts? We've seen franchises with multiple films.
I think
Good
you
question.
answered that question, though, Brian, because you just talked about the first 20 seconds of this movie sold you on who this person was, and here we are 60 years later.
Yeah.
I mean,
Still,
I
yeah.
can't name one franchise that introduces a character like that. That, especially with this kind of a power, you know who this guy is. You know he's a playboy. You know he's dangerous, and you believe he is this international super spy who's a ladies' man and a deadly killer. In 20 seconds, he didn't have to tell you that. He showed you that, and that's a function of a good script and good casting. So At least that's my perspective on it. You know.
Yeah, I agree. It's like one of the best character introductions ever.
Yeah. No, that's you. You guys put that very well. Yeah, it was. And it's spawned not only all those years of Bond movies, but somebody mentioned they've spawned a host of imitators, spoofs,
Our men
from Uncle,
In Like Flint.
That's the movie I was gonna say. Yeah,
even the comedy spoofs, like the first one was Carry On Spying, the Carry On movies, which is Carry On Spying.
that.
Have you seen it? It's a brilliant Bond spoof.
It's really good.
Yeah, very good.
Austin Powers.
Austin Powers. Yeah, it's spawned
Oh, yes.
It's become a cultural icon, a true icon. James Bond is a true icon. Everyone's an icon now. All bullshit. There's only very few icons, and he's one of them.
And I think it was a very successful, beloved franchise up until Daniel Craig.
Yeah, and he started quite well.
Yeah.
Casino Royale was great. Nice. Good start, not bad, and then what the fuck's the next one? Quantum of Solace. What the fuck was that all about?
I quite like the opening to that though. It's a great opening.
Skyfall was okay.
I like Skyfall.
Skyfall was good.
It off.
The two after that, forget it. That last one was pathetic. The only good thing about the last one was the Hashima Island stuff. The Japanese island, Hashima Battleship Island, having bits of that, scenes of that, and it was the only good thing about it. But,
you guys were talking about From Russia with Love earlier, yeah? Spectre tries to rip off that fantastic train fight scene with Robert Shaw in Spectre, and they did, is it Dave Bautista is in it? He's doing it.
I never saw that shit.
It's so unoriginal.
It seemed like Dave Bautista was trying to be Oddjob. I don't think he said anything. He's
more Oddjob than Shaw, that's for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because Shaw was the perfect sociopath in that movie. He's so goddamn terrifying.
And you don't hear Shaw speak until like the very end when he meets Bond.
Yes, dear boy. Yeah. Hello, dear boy. And he's a Russian.
Captain. He's Captain Nash or something.
But just to have an actor of that heavyweight status and presence playing the villain, he's kind of like the fighting villain, not the overall villain. But they just to have that, and it's hard to believe when you think Robert Shaw was actually in a Bond movie. When you think of some of the later stuff he did.
He almost out-charismas Sean Connery.
Almost, yeah.
So good, isn't he?
So good. He's just like pure beefcake with the blonde hair and whatever. And then there's his Elsa Clench, of course, is in that.
Wasn't he taking a Pelham 189?
Pelham 123. Taking a Pelham 123.
The original,
yeah, he's just such a class act. I like to drink, though. So. British actor, I guess. This is what you get.
Nothing wrong with that.
We've got a late entry, guys. Coming in with probably a very hot take. Guess who it is?
Late entry through the back door.
What's your analysis, Zaxx? What's your rating?
Well,
6.
I do give it a 6 because I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. I don't remember anything about it. But what I do know is that you have to experience this film on a tube TV. On TBS, if possible, heavily edited for content and time, and with awkward commercial breaks, and that's the only way I will watch this movie again.
In 4x3 in a square, not 16 by
3. Yes.
That's true. I've actually never seen Dr. No in a cinema. I'd seen a lot of other Bonds in the cinema. Certainly everyone since Live and Let Die I've seen in the cinema. And then I saw a couple of the earlier ones when they were packaged with stuff. I've never seen Dr. No in the cinema, so Zaxx is right. That's how you gotta watch it.
It's really, really good on the Blu-ray restoration when they restored all the colors. Like watching it's like watching a whole other movie because the Caribbean sky in the scenery is really. It's like
wasn't it the Living Daylights when it came out on video? It was the first they called widescreen, where he had the black lines in the bottom.
Letterbox. They used to
people hated it.
That's sitting back there
yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that just sitting back behind me.
Awesome, Nerdporeal.
I prefer to let Ted Turner decide for me, like what vision I should see. Like that's what I want. I want him to decide how much of this can I watch, is there language in it that's inappropriate for me or for anyone to hear?
Let him decide your colorization.
Are you going to get an advert for diabetes?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm Wilford Brimley.
Can I just say your chat has all been drinking or smoking Iwanascu? Because while we've been talking about 007, they have been endlessly going on about Medea, Fellowship of the Medea, Lord of the Medeas, the two Medeas, Return of the Medeas, Big Medea in Little China.
It's all over my head, Salty. I'm so pure and innocent. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're just
Big Medea, Little China. Oh my god.
I know.
Nerdporeal, that looks so good. I'm so jealous.
We're on like parallel universes colliding here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
Ooh,
go.
I used to get
70s.
this magazine called Cinema Retro.
Oh, dude.
For years, I subscribed to Cinema Retro. I've kept all these. This is the Dr. No
Ryan, that's
edition they did.
freaking amazing.
It's a great. It was a brilliant. I don't know if it's still going. An absolutely brilliant film magazine.
Oh my god!
About retro cinema, and they'd have posters in it and everything. And
look at that. That's awesome.
This was the Dr. No Bond special that they did. They did a few, but this was the Dr. No one. So I've got it, as you can see, I've got it in the plastics.
No.
So
you don't get it pregnant. Yeah.
I don't get it pregnant. Yeah.
Stain free.
So you remember Starlog magazine?
148 pages of Dr. No. 148 pages about
dude,
Dr. No.
when this is done, send me the link. I'm going to look for that on eBay because I want that. I want
Starlog
Retro.
We'd always do things about gadgets and the Bond car. And
that's the Clint Eastwood one.
Oh, nice.
Cinema Retro, 116 page.
Okay,
special
on. All right. Okay.
You know, it's a great magazine. I don't know if they still make it or not, but it was just tons of detail about 60s, 70s movies. Just brilliant stuff. Yeah.
Zaxx, why I got you here, Zaxx, were the Bond films a big thing in Canada too growing up? Did they have them on TV like at holidays and stuff? Yeah.
Like I said, it was like it was on TV constantly almost. On the weekends they'd do Bond weekend, and you'd go to the store and you'd come back and it'd be a different Bond, but it was fine because it's just more Bond, and you'd come and go as the weekend went along. And my big complaint about Dr. No is that this Bond is a bit too Scottish, like for me.
He's a break, you dauber. You're asking for Malky.
He's a bit too Scottish for my liking, but otherwise it's like I've never really taken Bond that seriously. That's kind of how I was introduced, was really watching it over the weekends. And then when the Timothy Dalton ones came out was sort of when I was more going to the theaters to see movies, and I saw those, and I didn't hate them like everyone else did.
Wow, what's wrong with you?
I know. Also, my Bond movies have to have Duran Duran in them somehow. That's important.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh, there's a great version of them at Coachella live a couple of years ago playing View to a Kill, and it starts off with a little John Barry tribute where they're playing the and a couple of other tunes, and then they sing. He sings the intro, a couple of choruses. He sings them with just a bit of the orchestra. They've got an orchestra playing with them, and then the band kick in.
Oh, dude, I gotta find that.
I need to find that too.
It's Duran Duran at Coachella, and they do a little John Barry.
Awesome.
John Barry. They do 2 or 3 other Bond themes, and then they go into A View to a Kill. It's great. Yeah, it's good fun.
Duran Duran rules.
So, well, they're okay.
Who wants to sing?
I have
Reflex?
I have
Dude,
the
Girls on Film is a
Screw
great
your
80s
Reflex.
song.
I've got the 7-inch single
Film.
of Planet Earth, which I bought when it came out. Their first hit.
Hungry Like the Wolf.
Do you remember when they
those
played
later ones? Forget them.
Do you remember?
Dude, I
Playboy
made
Channel?
out to a lot of chicks with big hair to Duran Duran. Don't rain on my parade, okay?
Do you remember the Playboy Channel? They used to show music videos.
What?
The Playboy Channel.
Oh, I didn't know.
I remember that.
Never heard of
And
it.
they had Duran Duran, Planet Earth, and they had all the topless chicks.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, it was more of a thing to have topless women.
That's right.
You get to see Duran Duran with nude women. Yeah.
Planet Earth was a great record.
Sounds good to me.
And then they went
Does
downhill.
Ted Turner know?
Checking that video out later, I think. Yeah. So, before we wrap things up, guys, you want to shout anything out? If you do,
wait, you got to ask Zaxx what his rating is of this movie.
6.
6 out of 10.
6.
It's a 6.
Yeah.
It's a
6
6.
out of 10.
Come
He gives it 6.
Too Scottish for you.
Too Scottish. The
Too
bikini was
Scottish.
nice.
He can't
Bikini was
handle the
nice.
raw masculinity of a Scot.
Uh-huh.
I agree. It's that or the haggis. I can't tell. Yeah.
He's a bit short too.
You can't.
Oh my God.
He's never had his
Yeah.
hands on a real haggis. Then I can assure you.
He's no Daniel
You know,
Craig, right,
you do
boys?
know 70s is in Canada too. We can find your ass, Zaxx. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
Not that many people in Canada.
It's
I'm
there's
sure
8 of us.
we've probably bumped into each other a few times because
I was going to say something about your ethnic
We're all on YouTube.
population, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to.
We're all on YouTube, all
Yeah.
three of us. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're just jealous because you got to hang out with Ursula Andress, aren't you,
I mean,
Zaxx, really?
Undersh.
that's why it's a 6.
I like how she's holding her things.
Goodies.
Yeah, just like she would holding her goodies, you know.
She's not letting him carry her clam.
Mm.
It's her clam.
What to say.
I think it's conch. So she's definitely not letting him get in.
Is that what they call it these days?
Conch.
It's a
Let
lovely
me-
conch.
You're
you
not
got there.
getting near my conch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My conscience
grief.
is clear.
Oh my.
Now men can have a
Con-
conch too. It's great.
My conch is a little clammy. Don't get sand in my conch. I'm 12.
good for you.
Good for you. Oh my God, Salty. So I think we've got everyone's score, haven't we? I've gone round. I think. Yeah.
How dare you?
Okay. Sorry.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Anyone want to shout anything out before we finish, or should we just do a cold finish?
I got a Canon Film Club on
Okay.
my channel Monday,
70s.
Oh, nice.
3 p.m.
Monday.
Good.
Canon Film Club. We're doing Cyborg this time.
Oh, dude.
Tom Connors.
Van Damme?
Tom
Nice.
Connor, yeah, Van Damme, not
Okay.
any other.
God, I saw that
Cyborgs.
once.
Yeah, Cyborg. Tom Connors is my co-host. We'll have Austin Trunick, who wrote the Canon Film Guides, and Razor
Awesome.
Fist may or may not appear depending on how he feels on the day.
Okay.
Sometimes he appears, sometimes he doesn't, but he's a good lad, so hopefully he'll be there.
Great.
How did you get the idea to cover those, by the way? I wanted to ask you that.
Just,
Canon films.
I think Tom and I were talking about it, and he said, "Let's do let's call it Canon Film Club and talk about some Canon movies on your channel." I said, "Suits me." So
That's
Great
it's
movies.
really Tom.
It's a
It's
great
really
idea.
Tom. Oh, it is. It's good fun.
You should have followed up with a Golden Globus.
Yes. The gold-
Ah, yeah.
But yeah, I think this is about the 5th one of these we've done. I try to do one a month. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it. So, but yeah, Cyborg. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
I want to shout out Copa Catania, who's got his first live stream ever on his channel on Sunday.
Yes.
Nice.
Roadhouse
Mhm.
with
Big time.
Mrs. Katana, especially.
Shout that out on Twitter so we remember, because I'd like to support that.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Jana's going to be on there too, his wife, and they're covering her favorite movie, which is Roadhouse.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zaxx.
Featuring my
Thanks.
favorite blind Canadian guitarist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is he in
yeah.
that?
I thought he was.
Yeah,
His
he
name?
is.
They get the band and the
No way.
It's,
God, I can't remember
Jeff
what the hell's
Beck?
name is.
Jeff
Farley.
Healy.
Healy, that's
Jeff
it.
Healy. Yes.
Stevie
My
Wonder.
favorite blind Canadian.
I was working
guitarist.
at the record store when that damn thing came out, so I sold a
It's
lot.
a short
of
list of
Roadhouse
Canadian blind
albums.
guitarists, but he's at the top.
Yeah,
Well, he was. The sad thing is the poor chap's gone now. But
I know.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I want to thank the chat for just all the Medea jokes that make absolutely no sense in the context of what we've been talking about tonight. But I definitely appreciate the creativity, so that's cool. No,
I want to see Medea burns a target. That's mine.
we already did. That was 2020, man. You
Oh,
remember
right.
that?
Yeah,
They burned the shit down
Yeah.
of everything. It was mostly peaceful though. So
Mostly.
just like in France.
that's not so peaceful. That's
it's fiery, but mostly
that's
peaceful.
called an invasion, and we will have our own soon. Don't worry, here in North America. So yeah.
Good.
Oh
grief.
no, we're diverting everyone to Japan now.
There you go.
Through the radioactive
Nerdporeal?
water. Yeah.
Nerdporeal, anything to shout out? You got coming up?
No, I don't think I might have a stream next week. Just seeing how just seeing if the person's gonna be available, and I'll let you guys know.
Okay. Cool.
Wow, who just did some blow?
That'd be me.
Is
Not
that
me.
Hunter Biden? We got Hunter. Is Hunter in the
Nice.
chat?
Why do they call it blow when it goes the other way? I mean, shouldn't it be suck?
There's a lot of other analogies I could make to other things that,
I
but it's
never
not
quite
mine.
understood that. Same with the blow job. It's what is it called? The
Wow.
Oh.
Okay. There's
How
good
is it?
good taste. Woo! There goes our.
So you're okay.
Thanks.
Can you
Thanks for
say
that,
that on YouTube? I don't know. We just did.
How did the Spaceballs put it? Go from suck to blow or something? I forget how.
That's
how it
right.
worked.
Yeah. God, yeah.
It depends which kind of vacuum cleaner you own. You know?
Uh-huh.
It's true. I've always been partial to those with a Hoover myself. But,
Yes, I just find it amusing, Salty, that you're okay with discussing hard drug use in the White House, but a mild sexual act is enough to.
oh no! Dude, if this was my channel, I'd be like, knock yourself out. I'm just like Gray's so virginally
Oh, sorry,
pure,
Gray.
and I'm like,
I took advantage of you there.
I worry
Sorry.
about
Think
him.
of Gray.
You know,
Think of Gray.
painting. You know,
Pure as the driven
Jesus.
snow.
I
Yeah.
don't know what to say.
The driven snow. That's pure as the driven snow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wrong
Okay, that's it.
analogy.
oh my god!
Do you see the beast?
Encounters.
Do you have it in your sights?
Good madman. You're all crazy, you know, that's absolutely crazy.
Scotland, shite. We're wankers. We're colonised by wankers.
And we're out.